Well, hello, good evening, good evening. Let me see who is here. No one. Okay, it's just me so far. So come on in. Hoping people will come log in. I have an interesting topic. At least it's interesting to me. Um, but tonight, welcome to Reflections. Reflection is a part of my Fight to Smile brand. Fight to Smile. Let me move this banner out of here. Fight to Smile is, ooh, you can't see it. Fight to Smile. There it is. Fight to Smile is my brand. And it is a campaign to encourage women of all backgrounds to keep your head up, to keep fighting, and even through the struggles and even through the tears, keep your smile. Keep fighting for your smile. So, oh, Chantel is with me live tonight. Yeah, she usually watches on the replay. Well, hello, Miss Chantel. It's so good to see you tonight. I'm glad you are here. Tonight, I wanted to talk about something extra special. I want to talk about that first generation, and not, a lot of times when we hear the term first generation, we think about maybe a low income or first time in college student, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking more specifically about being the first. No, I can't believe it, Chantel. I'm so excited that you're here. um, but being that first person in your family to do something different, be it move to another state, be it, maybe you're the first to purchase investment property, maybe you're the first to not go into the traditional workplace. You actually tried something different to set out to become an entrepreneur, or maybe you were the first to go to college. I don't know, but I wanted to just talk tonight about that first and what that experience was like, and what responsibilities did you hold on your back, on your shoulders? Do you still hold on your shoulders? And yes, I am speaking first to women, but I would love to hear the men. I would love for the men to chime in and talk about, maybe they were the first in their family to step out and have a 9 to 5, or to pursue just something that was not traditional for their family. So I'll tell you where this whole thing is stemming from and where it's coming from. And that is, I'm speaking on Thursday about adultification bias in Black girls. So I've been doing a lot of research and a lot of studying. And one of the topics that I do plan on speaking about is the emergence or the presence of the strong Black woman. And one of the things that I know that women carry, and minority women, more specifically Black women, carry, is that sense of responsibility for everyone, you know. And when they step out and they're the first to go to college, they're the first to step out of the traditional workspace and start their own business. They're the first in their family to have a healthy marriage. They're the first in their family to have a bank account with savings, They're the first in their family to have investments. And what exactly does that mean? So I've been, really like thinking about these things and trying to do some research. And I'm finding some research on just, being first generation, but they're not talking about the burden and the responsibility and the stressors. That's the word I'm looking for. They're not talking about the stressors that come along with being that first one. So, that's kind of, where the topic tonight is stemming from. But I've also noticed that here recently in this week, my cousin, one of my sister cousin, and for those of you who don't know what a sister cousin is, a sister cousin is someone that, your cousins, you raised your cousins, biologically your cousins, but you were raised together and you spend a lot of time together. Therefore, you're more like sisters than you are cousins. You're more like brothers than you are cousins. So my sister cousin, and she's older than I am, and I noticed that here lately she's been posting a lot of pictures from her high school days, her high school years. And I've been watching her make these posts, and I'm not on social media often, but they've been popping up, so now I go look for them. And I noticed the thing about my cousin is that she was the first in our family to go away to college. We have degrees in our families. Our parents went to school, but they're generally the adults that went back to college after having a family and things like that. But she was the first to go away to college, and as a matter, and the thing is, she went away to college, but she went to a boarding school first, and an all white boarding school in Northern California, mind you. My sister cousin is from Compton. I think what 120th and Wilmington at the time. you know, she from Compton in the 70s. Afro, Black Power, um, gorgeous woman, young woman, and she went to this private boarding school, and that was a cultural shift for her. And then from there, I think her brother then left and went to college out of the area. And then she went to Stanford and graduated. And, so for me growing up, it was just something I had always seen. So I knew it could be done. And, so in watching her, I wonder about the burden that she carried being that first gen to do so, you know? So, and even though our family, have since earned degrees and stuff, I think she was probably one of the first, though, even before our parents, they went back to school. So, I've been wondering about this, and I was like, wow, this would be a great topic, to talk about, wanted to talk. So I wanted to hear from people. I'm hoping, someone will, post either on Facebook or on YouTube. Those of you that are on YouTube, if you would share your comments and content, what was your experience? Were you first gen, and what responsibilities, what lessons did you learn in being that first one to step out there? I know that you're stepping into new territory. Who are your role models? Who are you looking to? Who do you go to for advice? You're in a new space. You're in, if it's a new business, you're learning the lingo. You are learning all of the processes and procedures, all those things. Just like if you're, going to school for the first time, what's the course syllabus? And what's the significance of office hours? And are you really supposed to use them? All those things, So, I'm hoping someone will chime in and share your first generation experience. I'm putting something on Facebook. I'm going to say, please share. What has been, what have been some of your experiences that you can share? Was there ever a time that you were embarrassed about your background? It's the Chantel says, I'm a first generation college student. Always wanted to go to college since I was in middle school. Very good. Thank you for sharing that, Chantel. And well, what it, how did you find out about college, and what was it about college that appealed to you that made you say, this is what I want to do? She's putting in comments. She said, but when I discovered I could go to college outside of the city, I was really excited. I almost went to Aussie. So you almost went to Australia. That is amazing. That's my, and you know what? I don't find that surprising whatsoever because I know how you are the world traveler and you will continue to do so. Yeah, it's just like, my cousin, she introduced that to me about going to a boarding school. And at first, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to boarding school, but I think she and my mom kind of talked about it and they determined I wasn't ready, in the ninth grade to go off to boarding school. I hadn't been prepped for that because that's a preparation, to be thrust into that community and that environment. And it's there's a preparation that needs to happen before we as parents drop our kids into certain environments. I'm gonna sit on that one. Let that sink in. There is a certain preparation that we as parents must do and must provide before we drop our kids into certain environments. And that's facts. Let me see. Chantel saying, okay, take stock in children. That's a wonderful program. That is a wonderful program. So you were a part of that program, and that's what exposed you to the whole idea of going to college, and not just going to college, but that going to college was a possibility and that you could make that a reality as you are wrapping up your master's degree. Very good. She didn't write that. I just know that. And she chose to stay in Florida. There are benefits in staying in your state, especially in a state like Florida. There are definite benefits. There are cost benefits in staying in your own state to go to school. So you made a wonderful decision, and the way you love to travel, it will pay off for you. But let's go back to what I was saying that, that before we drop our kids off into certain environments, there's a preparation that we have to do. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm a sacrifice and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and put my kid at this private school over here. And my kid will never go to a public school. I'm only going to put them in this, environment. There's a preparation that you must. It, it's almost child abuse not to um, mentally and emotionally prepare your students to be dropped into that environment. And it's not just a race issue, it's also culture, and culture, of course, goes across, um, what is it, across ethnicities. Okay. So, yeah, it does require that you prepare your kids. And I'm just wondering, in being a first generation in anything, new business, whatever, was there ever a time that you were embarrassed about your background? And so I'm not getting a lot of comments here, so I have to speak from my own personal experience. And I went to private school for most of my life, like up to the 10th grade. I went to private school. And the first 8 years, because it was in K-12, a K-8 school. We grew up with the same students, same small cohort of students. You knew everybody. It wasn't a big deal. I didn't feel less than, equal to, greater than. I didn't feel anything. Ninth grade, when I went to private school, went to a large private Catholic school that was clear across the city. It took two buses to get to school every day, sometimes three if I decided, to take a different route. Um, that was just to get to school. Then I got to get back home. So when you're in those type of environments, then it makes it even more challenging to do extracurricular activities, which is important when you're in school. It's still that's important. That's a part of the education process is getting involved. So I just never was really feeling connected. So because I wasn't feeling connected, I found defiant behavior to get myself into. Yep, I did. And or we'll say delinquent behavior to get into because it's a long way between bus one and bus three before you get to school, and a whole lot can happen. Okay, a lot of distractions. So we pulled. I stopped going to that school, and then I ended up in my neighborhood school, Crenshaw. Graduated from Crenshaw back in 19 Manor. And and even at Crenshaw, I felt like I was like anybody else. You know, I went away to college. I originally went to Tuskegee. I felt like anybody else. As a matter of fact, I probably felt a little bit. I won't say elitist or anything like that because I was never that. But coming from California, coming from Los Angeles, when you go to school in the South, back in the day, I don't know what it's like now, but when you go to school in the South and you're from New York, you're from California, you're from Chicago, you're from Detroit, you thought you was better than other people. Okay. Your lingo was different, your swag is different, so we carried ourselves a little differently. So that was funny. That's really funny, just thinking back on that. So I didn't have any problems. Came back home, started working. All was well. It wasn't until I moved to Florida that, and I started working at a college that I started hearing the term first generation. And people kept asking me, "Oh, are you first generation college graduate?" No, what is it? And I was like, why is that an issue? Why is that an issue? Why are you asking me this? But I had never even thought about it, never heard of it. It was never, then it started making me wonder, well, dang, is something wrong with me? But that's the first time that I really started really paying attention and thinking about, oh, well, maybe my background is a little different from other people, you know. Um, I remember sitting in a sociology class at the University of North Florida, and we were reading this book called Streetwise. And in reading that book, and we were, as a class assignment and stuff, I remember saying, "Oh wow, I'm from the hood." I was like, "For real? I didn't even know." I didn't even know. I was like, wow, that is the hood, and it was just, I don't know, it was just strange. So now I feel like I'm rambling. So let me get back to the point. The question was, have you ever felt embarrassed about your background? You know, and I guess to me, I'm just saying that for me, it's just always something that it's always been there. It's always been something I've embraced, and I've never felt good or bad about it. I've never felt anything one way or the other. Somebody recently told me, that I was from a broken home. I was. I didn't know. No, my dad didn't live with me, but he was down. I knew the number, and he'd be right there. Um, I always thought I had the best of both worlds. I have this house over here, and then I have my dad's house over there. My dad and I have a whole other family over there. I thought I had the best of both worlds, and I did, and that's how I've always viewed it. So, but anyway, was just wondering, about role models and who your role models are, and was there ever a point where you doubted that you deserved this opportunity? Um, so these are like the things that I've kind of been kicking around and thinking about with regards to being that first one in the family and the role that or the responsibility that we as women will carry with being the first one, with being that first one. And where do we find our support? Where do you find your support, ladies? When you are a lot of times the caregiver, when you are a lot of times the provider, the provider, where do you find your support? Where do you find your support? That's the question. That's the $1 million question that I'm kind of looking at tonight. And and I talked about role models. So, and the last thing is, a lot of times we just don't know what to expect when we're that first person. When you're that very first person out there, you don't know what to expect. So, this is again why I'm asking the basic question. What has been your experience? So, I'd love to hear your comments. So, if not live, then I'd love to see the replay, your comments in the replay, so that I can, you know what? Let me try logging out of Facebook and then logging back in, because sometimes my comments come up after the fact. So let me try it. Let me try it. Hey, Karen, I see that you were logged in. Are you still here? But nope, no new comments. Now, see, I hate it because sometimes Facebook will put my comments on delay, and then after I turn in the session, then all of a sudden all the comments pop up. I hate that. So I'm hoping that that will not be the situation tonight. But that's my show. That's what I wanted to talk about tonight. I was hoping that we could have had a little bit of a dialogue. I was also hoping that my cousin was going to log in, but she hasn't been able to. I know she had another meeting tonight. But when you're the first, I think, ladies, that it's so important that we still remember to take the time to find the support that we need. Too often, especially as women of color, too often we walk in the strong Black woman space, and that woman is, she doesn't give herself, or she doesn't make the time to take care of herself, to support herself, to be human. So it's so important that even if you are the first in your family, as you are charting these new territories, it's still so important that you take the time to care for yourself. And I talk about that week after week after week. It is so important that we remember and we learn how to make space for us, because without us, we can't do anything to help anyone else. So that's my show for tonight. I appreciate you all either coming in later and watching, and I do hope you put some comments out there. And thank you again, and you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Take care. you.